What up, guys? Millie and John here. And while I have two E30s, I thought might as well get into the history of BMW and the E30. Hey, Millie, chill. And so, because I will actually be selling this pretty soon, but you know, this one I'm keeping. But anyways, before I go on, I figured must be perfect time to give you a little backstory on BMW and the E30s. Because the E30 isn't just a car, it's the most iconic BMW ever built. And it gave us the M3 platform and 3 Series in general. One of the most successful touring cars in history. I mean, the list goes on. But to really understand why the E30 matters and how it came to be, we got to start at the very beginning. BMW was founded in Munich in 1916, not as a car company, but as an aircraft engine manufacturer. Their engines powered planes like the Bf-109, one of the most famous German fighters in World War II. The BMW blue and white logo comes from the Bavarian flag, but also it is a logo of the prop from a plane, the propeller spinning. So the white is the propeller and the blue is the sky behind it. After Germany's defeat, there was a treaty that banned BMW from building aircraft engines. So they pivoted first into motorcycles, then into cars by the late 30s, 20s, 30s. And then by the 1960s and 70s, BMW found a little bit more of its identity in the cars. But in World War II, if you ever saw those, like every movie from World War II has this. It's a motorcycle with a second cabin, and those are all BMWs. And what's really interesting is they're two-wheel drive. So it's rear-wheel drive on the motorcycle, and then I think there's a shaft that drives a second rear wheel that is on the cubby. So those are cool. Those could get around anywhere because of that two-wheel drive, and they were very useful in war. So that's really where BMW started. And yes, war definitely brings innovation, and it's kind of like, you know, Porsche, where there's a 911 back there, 997, and next week getting another Porsche to the channel. Stay tuned for that. Very interesting one. War definitely brought out a lot of innovations, and that we're still seeing to this day, like Porsche, Volkswagen, BMW, etc. But by the 1960s and 1970s, BMW found its identity in the sporty sedans like the 2002. But global events were about to push them even further in that direction, where in the 1970s, the oil crisis hit. Gas prices spiked. Big thirsty cars were kind of out of flavor, even though the US was kind of getting into their V8 like era around the 60s, 70s. But global manufacturers like BMW doubled down on a smaller, lighter, more efficient cars that were still fun to drive, like the 2002. And the 2002 proved you could have that in a car. Practical, good on fuel, still blast to drive. So that set the stage for the 3 Series, the first 3 Series, the E30, BMW's compact sports sedan. In 1982, the E30 was born. It had everything it became known for: rear-wheel drive, near-perfect balance, and a boxy, timeless design. I mean, you look at cars nowadays, they're not boxy. I mean, what's still boxy? G-Wagon and Defender, and holds its value more than any other car. And so it kind of, you know, if you do the boxy right, it's timeless. And, you know, demand proves that. You could get the E30 as a coupe, a sedan, a convertible, and in Europe, even the touring wagon, which are really cool. Sometimes you can see them imported in the US here. I have seen a few and thought about getting them because I love wagons, but I have not yet. Under the hood, choices range from a simple 4-cylinder in the 318 to a smooth 6-cylinder in the 325. Both of these are 325Es. This one is mostly stock, and then this one I am building into an M3 track car. It's got an S52 M3 engine from a 1998 M3 and transmission, and I mean, welded cage, everything. I track race it. So if you want to see me track race it, check out the channel. I have multiple videos of track days and building this thing up to be better and better, and you know, follow along for the M3 track build. Obviously it's not a true M3 E30, but it's my version, right? So in 1986, the BMW built the first E30 M3, the first M3. And it wasn't just a 3 Series with a body kit, it was completely re-engineered because in the mid 80s, the touring car racing was booming, and Group A rules required manufacturers to sell a street version of their race car. So instead instead of just like taking the E30 and building it into a race car, they really just built a race car and sold it to the public as the E30 M3. Completely re-engineered, fender flared for wider wheels, suspension geometry design for racing, aerodynamics, tuned for downforce, a high revving 2.3 liter 4-cylinder engine called the S14. Where these both have 6 cylinders, they went with a 4-cylinder because it was lighter weight and you could put it further back closer to the firewall to give it even more even weight distribution. So lighter and more powerful. I can't remember exactly. They took the head off one of their V engines. They took off the head and put it on the 4-cylinder and beefed it up, obviously. But that's kind of how they got it. The result was one of the greatest cars ever built. And when it hit the DTM German Touring Car Championship, it sparked one of the greatest rivalries in sports. And in DTM, you actually had to have not only, because like Group A, I think it was maybe 500 production models, but DTM, you had to create 5,000. So that's really where BMW was like, okay, we're just gonna make the E30 M3, the race car, and mass produce that, just so they could show up and start one of the greatest rivalries in motorsports between Mercedes with the 190E, it's a 2.3 16 valve Cosworth, and suddenly it was BMW versus Mercedes. Lightweight, agility against that durability and power of that Mercedes. Fans packed tracks like the Nürburgring to watch them to go head to head in this huge rivalry between the 190E and the BMW E30 M3. So the M3 racked up championships, multiple championships, and even won the 1987 World Touring Car Championships in the M3. All told, the E30 M3 became the most winningest touring car of all time with over 1,500 victories worldwide. So it became a huge hit. The car was amazing, and every race was a clash between BMW's razor sharp handling against Mercedes' brute strength. And more often than not, M3 came out on top. So I'm sure my buddy with all the 190Es would say that, you know, the 190Es are better, but at the end of the day, the M3 came out on top more than the 190E, and that racing pedigree is why enthusiasts love the E30. Perfect 50-50 weight balance, raw mechanical feel. I mean, driving these things is so like visceral. It is amazing. Like I get in the 911 997, which is the last mechanical, you know, 911, and that thing feels like the most comfy, not raw, like a dampened version of driving. When I get back into one, especially this one with the M3 swap, when I go from the 911 to the E30, it's like this thing is so gritty, and like driving it is just so fun. Raw mechanical driving feel, no electronics, very little computers, a design that still turns heads today. Like driving these things gets more thumbs up. Like old ladies are like giving me thumbs up. They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. They're well respected. Over 2 million were built, but finding a clean one nowadays is still tough. Like this one's extremely clean, but there's still a few things that are like, okay, you still gotta, you know, fix that to make it super nice. Like an immaculate version of an E30 is really hard to find nowadays. And the E30 M3s have just become holy grail cars. I mean, 100 grand for one of those. For me, it's more than just history. I've got 2 of them right now, and one swapped, you know, for performance, and the other one close to stock. And like, it is so fun going from one to the other, because like this one's like, whoa, like this thing handles insane, and it's like a go-kart. And then I get in this, and you got the huge wheel and the turning radius, and you feel like you're driving a bus. It's just kind of floating, and you're just chilling. And then you get in this thing, and it is an absolute monster. I mean, I'm passing, like on the track, last time I was on the track, I passed a GT4, a Cayman GT4, and an R8 V10. I mean, they didn't really know how to drive, but still, like, I am passing them. It is no slouch, but driving them back to back feels amazing. When you look at BMW's story, from airplane engines to powering the BF 109, oil crisis pushing smaller, lighter weight sports cars, to dominating DTM racing in the 80s, and E30 was just a car that brought it all together. So the machine that made BMW the ultimate driving machine is the E30. And that's why before I let one of mine go, I had to tell the story and share it with you guys. So If I got anything wrong, you know, talk some shit in the comments and let me know what I messed up on.